All right, gang, so here's how to do a shaded sphere with cross hatching. I'm go ahead and write that at the top. All right, so the first thing that we're gonna use, I'm using a Sharpie so that it's easy for you guys to see. If you're drawing this digitally, you can do it on a tablet, or if you're doing it in class, you should be using pencil or potentially a darker pen. I'm gonna take a cup, just something easy that I can trace to make a good clean circle. Again, if you're working digitally, there should be some sort of feature that allows you to nicely add a shape to your drawing, but I would like y'all to keep it nice, so something clean and neat. So a circle, a cup, something like that to trace. And the first thing that you want to do is determine where your light source is coming from. So whether it's a lamp, I like to kind of mark it as like a little sun. So I'm going to say that my light source is coming from this right side. That means it's going to be brighter right here where the sun is kind of shining onto it and darker in the opposite area of it. So if we have a shadow here, the shadow is going to be as far away from that little sun as possible. With cross-hatching, what we do is we start with the multiple sets of parallel lines. So it's just very similar to the hatching that we did. And again, I'm just making these small little marks. I mentioned that it's going to be lighter up here at the top, so our marks are going to be farther apart. And I kind of work all around this circle as I go through, and I'm just adding layers of those parallel lines. Your goal is to have it kind of taper up and look like it's getting subtly darker as it moves away from that little ball of sun. So once you have a layer of hatching down, you're going to go the opposite direction and add your cross hatching. So all it is those same short little lines, but instead of all kind of pointing that same direction, we're going to move them so they go another way. So I'm going to point these lines so now they kind of go this opposite little direction. And I'm putting them closer together at the bottom to make it look darker. And as I go higher up my sphere, I'm moving these lines. You can kind of start to see it here. So the lines are not as close together as they were when I originally started drawing. But again, I'm keeping these ones all kind of pointing up to that left corner. You should be able to see here that it's kind of just tapering into that little sun. You could come back even if you wanted to go another direction and go another way. Layer up another set of those cross-hatching lines, but for each layer that you do, make sure they're closest together at the bottom here, or at the opposite corner of that sun, and that they are becoming farther apart as we're moving up our sphere. And I'm kind of working with the curve of this sphere. So you can see I'm not going just in little stripes. I'm kind of going with the shape of this little circle we've drawn. Alrighty, and then the last thing that we want to add is going to be our cast shadow, because we do have that little sun. That means that we have those areas that are going to be a little bit darker down here. I'm just adding one more little layer to this bottom just to really give it a strong sense of value. But so our cast shadow is going to come the opposite version of this sun. It's going to be just like a kind of fat, squatty oval here. And we're just going to start, I like to start by kind of hatching it lightly out on the ground. It is not going to be solid black. It's going to be a little bit darker towards the base here. And then as it kind of comes out, it's going to taper ever so slightly. Don't forget that we are going to cross hatch this section also. So we have our layer of hatching down, and I'm going to come over and I'm going to add some cross hatching. This one is harder to do because you're moving from right to left. If you're right-handed, it's a little funky, but not bad. So I've added in my cross hatching, making it a little bit darker as it's closer to the base of this sphere. And boom, there is our cross hatch sphere.